besties! You're currently watching The Vomitorium. You can support the show at www.streamlabs.com/Vomitorium Live. Enjoy the show!
Yole, yolo, ole, oe. is geek.
Oh no! The moon is going to explode into a big, big cacophony of moths any minute now. Good thing you're watching the Vomitorium, or else you wouldn't know this. You can support the show at www.streamlabs.com/vomitoriumlive. Good luck in the apocalypse!
Oh, I forgot to switch. Oh no, where are we? This is it. There we go. Hey, there we are. That music is definitely too loud. Let me lower that. Boom. Welcome to Game Central Junction, everyone. As always, I am your host, The Metal. Marsupial's running a little late, grabbing dinner, pizza and stuff, so he'll be here shortly, I guess. And I'll be holding the fort until he arrives, but we're here to talk about games, maybe some toys or collectibles. I don't know what's all on the roster. I've got some things pulled up. Some things are kind of spicy. Some controversies that we'll get into today, though a lot of them I don't want to actually dive too deep into until he gets here, so I'll do a little bit of stalling. But if you're a regular or not, please share the show out with somebody else, get more people in here, and if you happen to enjoy the show at any point in time, whether you're watching here in the present or later in the VOD, you can always give a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitorium. Live really helps us out. And it's like, it's cool. It's cool if you're not watching live. I'll still read out whatever you donate in the next episode. It's perfectly fine. But don't feel obliged. You don't have to. It's just a bonus. But I guess until he gets here, I can give a little overview of some of the stuff I have up for us to talk about. We are probably going to be talking about more of the Pal World kind of dilemma going on, I guess, the controversies, the lawsuit between them and Nintendo. They've made a lot of changes because of the lawsuit. We'll go deep into that. You'll find that although I tend to like Nintendo games, I am not on Nintendo's side with this one. That's a little stupid. What else do we got? Mario Kart is still continuing to sell copies, 8 specifically, even though a new one is right around the corner. It's kind of crazy. We got some estimates from Nintendo itself about how many consoles they expect to sell within like the first launch year. News about gacha games in general, but specifically the Hoyo games, and age verification due to new like FTC rulings and stuff. So we'll get into that too. Your calendar changed to show 8. Why did your calendar change to show 8? That's weird. That's not 8 right now. Well, I mean, it is 8 somewhere. It's definitely 8 somewhere. That's how time works. Yeah, and we've got a lot of crazy things to talk about. So yeah, I don't know. We'll get into it once Marsupial, who just talked in the chat, gets on screen. You might lose me for a minute after he gets in here so I can go and grab my food. We will probably be eating during the show. If that... Oh, wait, never mind. He brought it to me. Thank you. Yeah, it's fine. Oh, I want that door shut. Okay, he should be in here very, very shortly. Got me, there's this cool place down, like literally right down the street. I could walk there, called Rosati's. It's apparently a Chicago pizzeria, but it's not strictly a deep dish place, which is fine because I don't think some of the stuff Chicago calls deep dish pizza is actually pizza. They've got pan pizzas, they've got thin crust, they've got the whole gamut, so it's a pretty good place. But I got a meatball sub because I was not in the mood for pizza today. Oh, that's really good here. You guys can appreciate this while we're waiting. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? You could be jealous. But it is pretty late for most people, so maybe some of you guys out there are eating dinner while you're watching this anyway. I have not decided what we are starting with. Maybe we will start with the Pal World stuff when he gets in here. That could be kind of exciting. Or maybe I'll just complain about how Infinity Nikki has completely ruined their whole game. That might be fun too. You're just playing the waiting game. What can we talk about while we wait? Oh, here's a fun thing. Everybody like Gex? Do you like Gex? I liked Gex. Gex was a really fun game back in the day. Kind of humor-ish, very like adultish humor that most of the kids playing it probably didn't get. I probably didn't even get most of it until I played it again as a teenager at the very least. But Gex the Gecko is getting a remaster trilogy type thing. I don't know, maybe it's just an upscale through limited run games, which we're not the biggest fan of limited run games here, but sometimes it's the only way you can get these older things. It'll also be launched on Steam, and so hopefully you can just buy it that way. You don't have to maybe get it. I don't know. Let's see. Steam pre-orders. Oh, maybe you just have to get everything through Steam. Can I get just the download though? Like, I like having the physical games. They're kind of cool. But if I'm buying a game on PC, I'm definitely not getting anything physical with it. They might give me a disc. My laptop doesn't even have a disk drive, sadly enough. It would be cool if it did, but like modern computers don't even come with disk drives. And when you do pop a disc into your computer to play a game, the game's not even on it. It's just like a license, like a serial, and then it just goes downloads it off of Steam anyway. But it's going to come with a game disc and a cartridge, depending on or cartridge, depending on which system you get. Game case, cover, booklet, and it does just a Steam key. That's cool. But Gex the Gecko is getting a classic edition starting May 9th until July 6th for you to purchase. Some of these goodies are weird, but cool. Like there's this, like a Gex figure makes sense, but there's like this big posable Gex toy thing. Oh, it's an inflatable doll. Okay. So it's like almost like a pool toy with movable arms. It's just, I don't know why you'd want a Gex the Gecko pool toy, but it's so weird it fits the character. It's got some posters and stuff. That's pretty cool. You can get this huge collector's box. Oh my god, that's art by Yoshitaka Amano. I do really, really like Yoshitaka Amano. Apparently this was done in partnership with Square Enix, who technically owns Gex. I don't think they ever parted with it when they sold off all of the other stuff like the Eidos Interactive and Crystal Dynamics. I never heard Gex leaving, so I guess they still own it. It's another reason why I thought we'd never see Gex again, because why would Square want to publish a Gex game? But hey, I don't know. That art by Yoshitaka Amano looks really good. Hey, how you doing?
Good. Sorry, I had a couple of stops on the way home, and here I am.
Yeah, I was just talking about a limited run games Gex the Gecko trilogy collection.
Oh yeah, and I saw people are finally getting their Game Boy Advance Shantae now.
Yeah. Another thing I had pulled up.
Cool for them.
Yeah, well, the thing that caught me off guard as I'm looking through this is like I really liked the game Gex the Gecko. I think I only played the original. I don't know if I've played the other two. It's a trilogy, right? But I was completely caught off guard when I saw that the big collector's box, the art box, was done by Yoshitaka Amano. Which I keep saying that name for people who don't know who that is. That's the guy who did all of the art for the classic Final Fantasy games and still does like at least the title illustration. You know, like every Final Fantasy game has a title illustration that gets recolored to go with the title card. Amano still does those, as far as I know. So he does still work with Square. And I don't know if this is older art, but I've never seen this Gex art before. That's kind of cool.
Is there like an art book that comes with it, or?
No, it's like a collector's box, like a big display box that the stuff would come in.
Oh, cool. Neat. I trust that you found your meatball sandwich.
I did, yes. I showed it off on stream.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I can't get this glare out of my face, but here I'll show the pizza. At least it exists. Proof of pizza. So, we'll stick with that. So, did you play Gex when it first came out?
When it was still a fairly new game, I think so. Yeah, It's like PlayStation and 64 era. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the few one of the many, I guess, that I never really got into.
Listen,
I do like,
mechanically, it's not that great of a game. I love it, but it's not that great. It rides off of its design for like the character and the writing and humor of the character. Because Gex is very much like a cheeky mascot that's kind of making fun of other mascot characters, and he feels like he should be in like a primetime Fox show, like a cartoon built more towards adults, but still tame enough that kids can watch it. That's Gex.
Yeah.
He even made a
Why
joke
do all
about
these,
partying at Mel Blanc's house at one point.
Oh. Why did all these like mascots ever, after Mario?
Always seem to be like cheeky and making fun of other mascots. Like Sonic seemed to do that to some degree.
I don't think Sonic is supposed to be that. Sonic is
Bubsy.
just supposed to be cool. That's it, right? He's very
I
much
guess.
a product of being in the 90s. Crash Bandicoot, on the other hand, was supposed to be edgy. They even had like the commercials where he'd go to Nintendo's headquarters in America and was like yelling at them through a megaphone.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember those commercials. I don't know. It seems desperate. Whatever. Mario's just like, yeah, it's a me. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah. Even Mario himself, he's kind of a product of when he came about, right? Because for Japan specifically, if you're looking at the 80s, which is where Mario comes out of, just being a working class Joe that becomes the hero just made sense for the time, right? Now, that would be the equivalent of like the cool character you look up to. Then we roll into the 90s and your audience becomes a bit more international than it was in the last decade. Sega wants to have like that hip, cool character. And that was everything about Sonic. Even in the Japanese original dialogue for games like Sonic Adventure, Sonic would sometimes use English words to sound cooler. Yeah.
Yeah. So is Gex more of is it like a collectathon type game or just platformer?
Yeah, it's not so much a collectathon. It's a platformer in the same way that I would consider Super Mario 64 one, right? Where there are different stages or goals for the levels, and you keep going back in to try to get the different goals, right?
Yeah.
So it's like getting each independent star. Depending on the Gex, right? So that was like Gex 3D. There was like a 2D Gex as well. One where you went from TV to TV. And it was also still kind of a traditional platform in that way. So I would just say Gex is trying to be a traditional platformer.
Yeah.
It's just that the platforming wasn't that great. It wasn't awful. It wasn't like Bubsy Bobcat or something like that. It was passable, enjoyable platforming. It just kind of fell a little short when you compare it to the things he's competing against.
Right. You know what platform he originally came out on?
The original Gex, I want to say it was probably PS1. I think so.
Nope.
What was it?
3DO.
3DO? Oh, that makes sense. Okay, I can see that.
Crazy. I guess that was supposed to be their, platform seller, system seller, whatever they call it.
Maybe.
But yes. Luckily for that character, it was ported to PlayStation and Sega Saturn, apparently.
I'm going to walk off stream for just a minute. You can entertain everybody. I don't know, if you're in the living room, I'll probably pass by you. I need a fork and knife to eat this. This thing is not staying together as I try to eat it as an actual sandwich. I'll be back.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I left work a little later than I intended. Just kind of lost track. No time, but at any rate, let's see what's going on today. Oh, I think they announced the GTA 6 release date, which is way closer than I expected. I didn't realize it was so far along, and apparently, I mean, I'm guessing by now it must be done. I mean, they're probably working on patches, but GTA 6 comes out May 26th. Oh, of next year. Never mind. I thought May 26th, and I was like, really? Like, that's real close. No, it's a year away. It's still a year away.
Oh, do you know they nobody at the office except for maybe the director and some of the story writers or like people know why it's been delayed a year.
Well, what was it originally supposed to come out this year? Like around now?
Well, they said it was delayed a year. So they didn't give an actual date. They just said, "Oh yeah, it's being delayed a year." Like the Rockstar itself said that. So that it implies that it should have been coming out soon.
Yeah. Well, like, are they saying they thought the game was practically done? Like the people working on it thought
So
it was
the only
done?
things I've seen is the notion that most of the devs have is that the game wasn't looking good and they needed another year to polish it. They don't know what that means. And the problem is that the development team for GTA 6 is just way too big that most people don't know what's going on. There's like a few people at the top, like the actual director and some of the producers of the game. The actual like story team kind of knows what's going on, but everybody else working in every other end of development just has like no clue what's going on aside from what they're assigned to do that week. And the team is so big and bloated that some of them had even said that their whole process is they get something done and they either send it in for feedback, like whether it's been approved or whatever, or they ask a question, and then they might have to wait 2 to 3 days to continue working because that's how long it's going to get for somebody to see it and respond to them.
Wow. Wow. You would think that with, like, I guess it seems counterintuitive to me. You'd think that with a humongous team, they could have some people dedicated to answering those sorts of questions.
You would think.
But it actually just slows everything down.
Well, yeah, of course, because all it does is even if you have people dedicated to that, it becomes a relay system.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. I think, it takes a while for me to get code reviewed, but, I'm on a team of like a dozen people.
Yeah, and you also probably haven't been working on the same project or getting code reviewed for the last, 6 or 7 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, I thought the trailer looked pretty decent. I mean...
Oh, everybody thinks it looks good enough.
Yeah.
From a trailer perspective.
Yeah. But you never know what they might change in the next year. They could make everyone androgynous blobs like every other game.
They could.
AAA
I don't
game.
know about that, though. I think, even with this trailer, compared to some of the stuff that was leaked early on, they've already rolled some things back. Because when you watch the trailer, it looks like a typical historical GTA game, right? The guys look masculine and badass. The girls look sexy. It's it's just GTA. It's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Will that reflect in the story? Who knows? Because there's one thing to change your models and character designs. It's another thing to rewrite your whole story. So we'll see how it actually is when it comes out. But I think the biggest thing they walked back was separating Grand Theft Auto Online from 6. Because they said they were originally were going to make a completely separate Grand Theft Auto Online, which could still work to some degree if you're doing it like they did with Red Dead Redemption 2, where you pay less for it, and you kind of just get a lesser experience. But I don't think that would benefit Grand Theft Auto as much. In fact, if anything, I think it would hurt Grand Theft Auto. Red Dead Redemption 2's online package, where you could just get the online, sold more copies of Red Dead Redemption 2. It made people want to play the main game. But if people were coming in from Grand Theft Auto 5, which is a decent game, it's a decent story, I've played through it, it fell really short compared to their historic stories. And most people just kept buying the game so they could play Grand Theft Auto 5 online. If you separate online from 6, and people are already leaning towards the other direction, it's not going to be good for your sales.
Yeah. Like, why don't they just follow the same, tried and true pattern as GTA 5?
I don't know. I mean, part of it is probably because they think they could make more money off of online if they sell that like lesser, like for a smaller amount, right? Like as a download-only game. Kind of like how they handled the optional online-only version of Red Dead Redemption 2, because they've made more money off of stuff in Grand Theft Auto 5 online, in just the online mode, than they have off of sales of the game. So that's probably what they were thinking originally.
Yeah, but people are still buying the full price GTA 5, right? Just to get the online?
Well, I don't know about that, right? Because the game is on sale all the time now. Probably for the first 3 years of the game's life. And then maybe every single time it was kind of revamped for a new console, people were paying full price. I don't think most of their sales have been at full price.
Mm-hmm. I would say it's a... I'm not going to complain. I mean, I think that's a better move for the players. Hey, look, if you just want online, and a lot of people seem to just want online, hey, you don't have to buy the whole thing. You just buy that port, that piece.
Oh, I'm not complaining either.
No.
I'm only really interested in the online, unless the story actually turns out to be good, which is something they need to gamble on. But
yeah,
it just doesn't seem good if you're trying to move product, you know?
Yeah, it's a puzzling, pro, customer friendly move. Like, whoa, what are you doing? You could have.
Well, it depends which product you're trying to move. If you're trying to move the main game, which the favor for has been waning, it's not a good move for that. If you're thinking like you're maximizing profit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you could get more people into the online ecosystem and they spend more there anyway, maybe an individual will end up spending more than they would buying a full price version of the game. Like, you're probably still maximizing profit. You're just not making the sales for the main game that's been cut separate from it look good.
Mm-hmm. Well, regardless, I think sounds like a good move to me. I guess, I mean, you can play the online without paying another dime, right? Or is there like a subscription price?
No. It's the only thing you have to pay for is if you're on a network that requires you to pay for the network, right? So if you're on PlayStation, you have to pay for a PSN or whatever. But if you have it on PC, you can just play it completely free after you own the game.
But they have like stuff you can buy in the online game?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never played GTA 5 online.
It was actually the part of GTA 5 I enjoyed the most was playing online.
Oh.
Like I said, I did play through the story, but most of the characters were pretty weak in 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could have been strong independently, but the way the triangle between them was written and the story of like betrayal and like Franklin just getting caught up in all of this stuff, it left like 2 of the 3 characters pretty weak. The other 2 didn't really get to shine in the story. This, I think, has a better advantage anyway. It's trying to, instead of trying to juggle the perspective of 3 different people in this complicated part story, it's just going to follow, I think, a couple, right? It's just a guy and a girl. And for the most part, they're acting together. Maybe you'll play the other one at different parts in the game, and they'll probably let you switch between them as you want, like they did with the 3 characters from GTA 5. But it's a lot easier to kind of do this Bonnie and Clyde together story than it is that complicated mess that was a bold move, could have been great, ended up kind of weak, right? But that's anytime you take a bold decision like that, you're gambling that you're going to execute it right.
Yeah. And these days, when you're counting on writers, that's never a good move. Seems like.
Well, I mean, it was a while back when 5 came out. I don't think people had that much disdain for writers at this time.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder, like, is it writing, courses in college that are failing us all, or why
No, it's nepotism.
Do better. No, that's
right. Well, I mean, there's a whole media industry, right? Especially writing. Writing is that way too, like anything else, where it's not about talent; it's about knowing people, and that's how you get gigs. And it's no, all their friends are bad at writing, so all the people who come in new, they hire these writers who they love their work, but then everybody else hates it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But with that caveat,
Go ahead.
Rockstar has yet to drop the ball to the point that it's unmanageable. When I say that 5 ended kind of weak because it had trouble juggling the characters properly, that's in comparison to the other GTA games.
Mm-hmm.
That's like when I say Final Fantasy VIII is one of the worst Final Fantasy stories.
Yeah.
It's still a Final Fantasy story, and it's still better than like a lot of their competitors.
Yeah, it's a what do they call it? A B plus product in a C minus industry.
Yeah. Or it's like you're showing up invited to be a part of the Manhattan Project, and you find out you're the dumbest genius there.
Yeah. Wait.
Sure, you feel like you're holding everybody else back, but if you took him out of that project and drop him anywhere else, he's probably dragging everybody else along.
Yeah. Well, isn't it the opposite? You're the smartest dumbass there, or something.
Well, I'm saying if I'm comparing it to the rest of the GTAs, right?
Oh, I see.
Now, if we are bringing them out of just the perspective of being like weak for a GTA game, then yeah, they become the smartest amongst the dumbasses.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Which is kind of sad that a lot of people just don't know Grand Theft Auto for telling pretty good stories in a video game medium. Though, to be fair, one of their best stories is literally them just rehashing a movie that they watched. Vice City is just Scarface. Just straight up, they made Scarface into a game. But they do tell good stories in there. It's just all the violence and stuff and all the bad press it got back in the day, which ultimately did help sell copies. I don't think they're complaining about any of the negative press they ever got. People just know it for running over hookers when you feel like it, as opposed to the storytelling that's in the games. Fischoso points out that Echo the Dolphin is back. I did see that. I don't think I'll play it. I'm not a huge fan of Echo, but Echo's a good legacy that Sega has, so it's cool that it's back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Huh. Apparently there were. I had no idea, but apparently there were 3 Echo the Dolphin games and then a remake.
I don't know about the remake. I never paid attention to that, but I did know about the classic 3 Echo games.
Yeah. Of course, the original creator doesn't even count the third one because he wasn't involved.
Yeah.
But he considers this one the third one. But yeah, apparently there was also a remake in 2007. Which I had no idea about.
Yeah, Sega's like contacting a lot of their old creators because they want them back involved in it, since they were apparently the people that got the games to sell in the first place. And they're trying to bring everything back, it seems. There's like a resurgence of Sega going on.
Sounds like it.
Just wait. Next, they're going to announce a new Alex Kidd in the World of Tomorrow.
When are they going to announce a remake of, what was it called? Skate Kids or whatever?
Skate Kids?
That show, or that game that you keep on.
Snowboard Kids.
Snowboard Kids.
It's like one of my favorite N64 games and my all-time favorite game from Atlas, which is owned by Sega. I have no clue. I mean, yelling at Sega could probably get a Snowboard Kids made because, they're the top, so they could just yell at Atlas to make it. But it's probably Atlas just doesn't have a desire to make a Snowboard Kids game, and they would need to be yelled at by their bosses to make one.
Yeah, I want a new Mylon Secret Castle. Those are the days.
So, do you want to get dirty?
That's a loaded question, but sure.
Okay, we're going to talk about Nintendo and Pal World.
Oh boy.
Have you heard the developments?
No, last thing I heard was that Pal World had changed the way you catch the creatures, that no longer involved a Pokeball.
They did that, and they changed everything about that too. So you don't even summon them by throwing the ball or whatever you use now anyway. There's just like this generic kind of apparating animation where they spawn next to you when you summon your monsters out, your pals. But it's gotten even worse. So now they have removed the feature of gliding using your pals. If you want to glide now, you need to use a glider. That will have to be in your inventory.
Oh, now they're going to sue them, or Nintendo's going to sue them for Breath of the Wild.
Well, so they probably can't, especially when, even though Breath of the Wild kind of popularized it, Nintendo wasn't the first people to use a glider for gliding like that, right?
But they could patent it.
Well, the Pokeball thing only works because the Pokemon Company was the first people to actually use something that's like a Pokeball.
Yeah.
Right. But gliding is something that exists in real life with gliders, like hang gliders and stuff. So there's really nothing you can do about that. There's would never hold up in any court. It doesn't even matter how favorable they are to you. So that they have to move to gliding. There's also why Nintendo wasn't able to sue anyone who did Breath of the Wild style gliding or even climbing with like stamina bars, because like these are kind of all things that existed in other games and in real life before Nintendo did it, and they just put them together in a single game. And it's like, what are you gonna do? But in Legends Arceus, they did allow you to glide with a Pokemon, and I think in Scarlet and Violet too, right? And because pals are basically Pokemon, they have a little more ground on that. Though I feel like if you had a good lawyer, you could fight it, because you could just argue that that is just flight movement with a mount, and you're like, this has been like Warcraft, like World of Warcraft going back, or I feel like you could argue a lot more in your favor with that. But they're getting beaten brow to brow in the courtroom, so I think they're just taking steps back to protect their case. This is because they haven't lost. This is all about case protecting, as far as I can tell. Like, they're preemptively making these changes.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. That they're very risk averse at this point.
Yeah.
Which I guess, you know, they have a lot to lose. I guess so.
Yeah, and I think
Probably
the
don't wanna-
problem too is that they're both Japanese companies, mostly dealing with Japanese courts. Like, yes, Nintendo has tried to pull this stuff in other countries by like patenting things, and I believe most of their patents were thrown out from the U.S. Patent Office when they tried to do that recently. It was like all but one. But in the Japanese courts, they have home field advantage, being this massive conglomerate historically tied to Japan, like going back for what 130 or 40 years now, or something like that.
Yeah. You want to go up against those? What are those cards called? Things that they
Oh,
started
the
out-
Hanafuda cards were like the first things that
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah. Those Hanafune cards are apparently the things that built an empire.
Yeah, as well as like other toys and stuff that they made at the time, but that was like the biggest thing that kicked them off.
Yep.
Fizz, I don't think I can answer your question. You asked who would win, Lovander or Salazzle. I know what a Salazzle is because that's a Pokemon. I don't know what a Lovander is off the top of my head. I'm not familiar with that. Whether that's just a newer Pokemon I don't know, or if that's a PAL. I'm following the Pal World stuff. Pal World does not interest me at all. I could not name you a single one of the Pals from the game. But I do feel for everybody who's getting punished by this. And I feel for, was it Pocket Pair, I think is the name of their company?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, Lavander is from Power World. Yeah, I wouldn't know that. I feel for them because this is ridiculous. As much as I like Pokemon and I like Nintendo games and stuff, this is like the dumbest fucking thing. Patenting mechanics and stuff like that from video games is bad for the industry and growth as a whole. I don't see anyone benefiting from it. I don't even see Nintendo benefiting from it because ultimately it just worsens their reputation, which, as a company like that, customer loyalty, brand loyalty, is the thing you make most of your money off of. It's getting people to come back and buy things. And as they're increasing the prices of things, because they have to, I'm not blaming them for increasing their prices, but as they do that, you're stretching your brand loyalty thin, and now you're damaging your reputation with stuff like that, which is only going to hurt the brand loyalty even more.
Yeah. Aren't they coming out with a new game that rips off some other game? Thought they had an upcoming game that sounded very familiar.
We talked about it. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah. I'll have to look at their list.
But you know, somebody else
Craft
is actually ripping off Pokemon real soon.
What's that?
Hoyoverse, MiHoYo, they're putting out their own Pokemon type game. I think I was telling you about it. We don't have much news about it yet. They just put off like a little 20-second PV.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows off Kiana Kizalana, who is like the main character of most of the Hoyo games prior to Genshin Impact. She's coming back. And it showed off some other recurring characters, and they all had like a animal companion with it. So we don't know if it's going to be like a full-on Pokemon style game. It's probably still going to have some type of gacha elements. Obviously, they're trying to play off of all these characters that they've built up and for people to like over the past many years. But it might be a lot like Pokemon Masters EX. I don't know if you've ever played that one.
No.
Yeah, it's a gacha game that the Pokemon Company has, where you collect Pokemon by collecting the Pokemon Masters. So you're pulling for like Ash. Well, not really Ash. I don't think he's in it. But like Red, right? Like the actual game version. You're pulling for Dawn, Cynthia, Lieutenant Surge, just like all of these actual characters from the games, and they'll all come with one of their Pokemon, and you'll make like a team of 3 of them, and their Pokemon will be your party. So technically, the characters are too. That's how Pokemon Masters works. A lot of us are assuming that's how what is currently being deemed Honkai Nexus Anima, which makes a lot of sense. I'm guessing Nexus is probably going to be the system in which these animals are captured. And it's looking to be almost like a Pokemon Masters game. But who knows? We know genuinely nothing about this game. You could still have the gacha for the characters, but then all of the actual Pokemon and stuff like that, or whatever they call their version of Pokemon, are just going to be out in the world and you catch them. And maybe having a character equipped will give your team special skills or bonuses. So we literally have no clue how this game is going to be yet. There's only a 20-second trailer.
Well, you know what that is? That's just Dragon Quest treasures.
Yeah. Or even like Dragon Quest monsters to a degree too.
Oh yeah. I haven't played that one, but treasures you basically capture, or you entice monsters to go live at your base, and then you can bring them out with you in your party. And
yeah, and you have like a party leader who's like the commander or tactician or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
And then depending on the type of monsters you bring with you, they give you certain abilities.
It's also like a Monster Rancher, really old game that died. They haven't made a. I think, was there more than one? There might be 2 Monster Rancher games, but it's like a PlayStation game that just never made it off the PlayStation, as far as I know. Like, it didn't become a full franchise. But it was popular enough that they got a TV show.
Yeah. I was just looking at this Craftopia by Pocket Pair.
Okay.
They it is Tears of the Kingdom. It's Tears of the Kingdom. That's all it is. But also, you can it looks like they're in the trailer. They're mass slaughtering cows for a gigantic soup or something. Crazy.
I do like cow meat, and I do like soup, so I don't blame them.
Yeah. And hey, it's already in early access on Steam.
That game sounds familiar. I think that game's been in early access for a while.
Yeah, it looks like it's been around for like 4 years.
Yeah. I think I watched my friend Karisu play that on stream. And you can very tell that it's like, we wouldn't even relate it to Tears of the Kingdom, even though with the crafting element, it is kind of like it. It's more of Breath of the Wild, and they added crafting to it because they were doing this before Tears of the Kingdom was a game. But I saw that, I was like, this game just doesn't look fun.
Well, the main character is a girl, but she's wearing this sort of cape thing that is the same color as the the blue that Link wears in
the champion's tunic.
Wild. Yeah, and the parrying, and then and also basically the sword fighting mechanic is like practically identical. It's crazy.
Yeah. But best of luck to Pal World and Pocket Pair in general. I do want them to be successful, even though I have genuinely no interest in their games. This lawsuit's bullshit, and somehow I hope they come out of it with some type of victory. You know, I hope it's not like a total crushing defeat for them.
Well, I mean, so they're still being sued despite making all these changes?
Yeah, it's an ongoing suit.
You think they would be like, Well, I guess they could still win damages up to the point where they changed
Yeah.
it, but it's like, okay, but they can't get anything from the point of change.
Yeah, they can only
onward,
get past damages if they change all the problems.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, did you happen to watch the Asmongold review of a video that was talking about the aesthetic changes in the Oblivion remake?
No, I didn't. I saw that video, decided not to watch it.
Well, I mean, I never really played the original, but apparently this one does have a lot of censorship and covering up of women, and
I'm not surprised.
yeah. Which he was saying, you know, obviously he's been playing a lot of Oblivion and loves it, and he's saying, you know, yeah, it's still a great game, of course, but it definitely makes him worried about, you know, future Bethesda games, which, you know, I've already seen this kind of stuff in Starfield, but I don't think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be very good.
No. So here's the thing: we kind of knew that the content of the games, from a media perspective, a story, an aesthetic perspective, and stuff like that, was going to get worse when Microsoft bought Bethesda. The only upside we thought was that the mechanics and the systems of the games, like the actual playable parts that you interact with, were going to get better because Bethesda games have always been buggy messes. That didn't seem to happen. And so it seems like we get the bad parts without the trade-offs.
Mm-hmm. In Oblivion, or
Just in Bethesda in general.
yeah. Well, the question is, has any game that has done this, a remake or a sequel, where they have, you know, covered up women and made them androgynous and ugly and stuff like that, like, have they ever been better than before they did that?
I mean, that's going to be a
Rhetorical.
completely subjective question. Right. Because it's going to, if you ask me, probably not, but I also kind of like the original versions of games, right? You know, I think
I mean,
a lot of
we're-
games age better than people give them credit for. But if you ask a lot of people, it's like, we'll take the Dragon Quest fiasco, right, where they censored some of the art.
Mhm.
A lot of people tell you that, yeah, the new one is just way better than the original version. So it doesn't matter that they censored some of the character designs.
Okay, that's a good example.
Yeah, I chose one that
That's
you
a
had
Japanese
direct
game.
engagement with.
Yeah. Of course, that's a Japanese game. It feels like the censorship in those have been under duress. That, like, even
Well,
the studio
especially if you
itself
ask Corey,
couldn't really-
because he was complaining about it the whole time.
Yeah. Whereas a studio that, you know, seems to do it, you know, willingly. I don't know where exactly it's coming from, but other aspects like the gameplay itself and stuff. You know, Oblivion is really the only one of the few counterexamples because they just didn't even change anything, you know, when it comes to the content. So it's like, well, it's no worse than the original, really. A lot of ways it's better, but
Yeah, and another example, a lot of people like the Diablo 2 remake. A lot of people would say it's better than the original game. I wouldn't. I think the original game was great. You can play it offline. But a lot of people do like it better, and they butchered the hell out of the Amazon's design.
yeah.
Yeah. Fizz actually has a question regarding this. Why does women being covered up in games matter? It's actually a really good question because that answer is going to change depending on who you ask. I think there's a lot of different groups of people.
Well-
You could slice it down into different motives, but really it comes down to two main groups. There's some people that They just want to see sexy women all the time, and they want you to make everything sexier, even if that wasn't the original intent of something. And those people you can mostly just ignore. They're going to be there, but you can just ignore them. They're good customers for games with the intent of just sexiness all the time. But overall, you could just ignore them. The other group are people that see games as art and don't like to see art ruined, censored, or tarnished, right? And people like that, which I fall into that category, would be equally mad if you took a character who was supposed to be like a wholesome nun in a previous game, and then in a remake, you turned her into like some sexy slut because that wasn't who the character was or what the design intent was or anything like that. So it depends entirely who you're talking to. Some people do just care about the artistic integrity of the work. But in general, attractive characters, whether they're women who aren't covered up, because you could have an attractive woman who is completely covered up, attractive characters do sell games better. Just in general, that is the truth. Everybody likes looking at pretty things. That's human nature.
I have a completely different answer for you.
Oh, okay.
My answer is, it doesn't matter, so why change it?
Well, yeah, if you're trying to use their own logic against them.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter. So leave it the same. Leave it the same as it was before. Leave them sexy, because it doesn't matter, right? So, and here's the thing. The real answer is, for some, that actually is part of the real answer. The real answer is for, people who say it doesn't matter. Okay, so it can stay the same. But for some people, it does matter. So why make a change where for a part of your audience, they don't care one way or the other, and for the other part of their audience, they're going to be upset if you do change it? I would venture to say there are zero fans of a game who want it to be changed. So if you're saying, well, big percentage that don't care, and there's a big percentage that are, that don't like it, and 0% that do, then why was it changed? Who were they changing?
Okay, I'm not gonna say it's 0%, but it is a negligible percent, right?
It's,
No, there definitely are people who do want it changed, right? I know this for a fact. Yes, it probably is less than 1%. I'll agree with that. Maybe that it depends on the particular property, right? But you know how like people end up having certain types of remorse later on in life for different things. Like there's trolls remorse. There's even kind of like Gooner's remorse to a degree. There's a meme, an old comic where there's like a girl who is going back to watch a movie she really liked from the 90s. And there's aspects of the movie that she really not likes. But, her worldview has been completely changed since then. She's like, oh, that didn't age well. That didn't age well. And these people are still really attached to the old thing, just not the way it was, right? They're attached to the idea of it, and they do want to see it changed. And it is a very small percent. And honestly, it doesn't matter how big a percent it is. You could find a property where it could be a sizable plurality of the player base. The issue is, even if you change it, you're not going to get money from those people, even if they were part of your fan base, right? So I will say, in effect, I agree with you. They are effectively 0% because you're not getting money from them either way.
Yeah. And I mean, the question is, if virtually no one was asking for it, so why would you, if your player base either doesn't care or doesn't want it, why are you doing it? And it's weird. It's very weird. I mean, it's bizarre that they would make these changes because nobody's asking for it, and it's off-putting. And why are they even putting all that effort in? If they're doing that, then they're not putting effort into more production.
Yeah, that's another thing too. right? Everything's a trade-off. You only have so much time, and budget equals time, right? Most of your budget is paying your developers like salary during the course of the game, and then you have to make that back with your return on investment. So anything that you're dedicating people to spending time on, that's somebody who can't dedicate the time somewhere else. So that's the most valid point anyone can ever bring up.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, they're obviously doing it because of their very strange and, tiny minority worldview that virtually nobody agrees with.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that was also pointed out in this Asmongold video is that characters that are not humanoids, like there's like a mermaid and there's like a spider woman and spider people, they're like uber sexualized in this version. And plus there's like, well, no, that was something else. But like, what's really strange about it is that, if you have a non-humanoid character, they're fine with sexualizing that. But when it comes to humans, it's like, they weirdly apply this bizarre, 80-year-old puritanical values that are just like,
Well,
strange.
part of it too is it's the way the modern hierarchy structure works, like with the oppression cycles and all that. Non-humanoid characters are metaphorically, from their viewpoint, definitionally minorities, right? Like they're not normal humans. They are not conventionally attractive, even if they have like very sexy parts. The fact that they have monster parts too, definitionally makes them not conventionally attractive. So you're allowed to be attracted to that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's safe horny.
Safe horny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, and then because it brings up a good point. If you're just making an original video game character, or the main character's an ugly woman, nobody should get upset because
No, not at all.
They should just choose not to play it. And that's
Or
exactly
if the game still looks good, get it anyway, right? Like, but it shouldn't matter if you're making something original, right?
Yeah. That's
Which is something
perfectly
we've
fine.
always said. It's like you could do whatever you want if you're jumping into a new property.
Yeah, especially if you're independently wealthy and don't care about sales.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to sell.
Well, again,
You're doing
I think
Marathon or Concord.
there are definitely a lot of grim, dark stuff too. I think the problem is you have to look at your target audience, right? Your actual target. You need a target audience, and you have to sell things that your target audience wants. There's a lot of guys that like ugly shit, and I don't mean like poorly made stuff, but like Ren and Stimpy style of like it's intentionally ugly, right? It's gross stuff.
Oh, well, yeah,
Right?
that's different.
Yeah, but that's fine, right? You just have to know who your target audience is. There's a lot of stuff where you want gross things. The people who have the biggest problem is that they're looking to sell things to a target audience who likes pretty things. Even when you look at the color palettes of something like, say, take Concord, for example, they're selling it to an audience of people who like pretty things, but then they're denying them pretty things. And then their stuff doesn't sell.
Yeah.
So you have to
Or
figure
they're-
out who you're selling things to and make something they want to buy.
Yeah, or you're selling things to an audience that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that too. Like you're
like,
or
no,
like the audience technically exists, but you could probably count them all on one hand, so they're not worth making a multi-million-dollar video game for.
Yeah. It's like, okay, you're gonna make Concord, say, and you're making it for fat women who don't want to see pretty girls in the game, and you're making it for leftists who don't probably play this type of game at all, and it's like,
Yeah, that's the
and then you
bigger
get mad when nobody
thing, right?
buys
It's
it.
like how many of them actually like playing shooters?
Yeah,
Who likes
Yeah,
playing
and
shooters? Dudes.
it's a complete disconnect between, okay, wait, what genre are we aiming for here? Who plays those types of games? think about that. They just think, who do we want to play? Who do we wish would play these kinds of games? And
Like
then
maybe
there's
we
a
should be
game for
making
that, and it's
something like Hello Kitty Island Adventure instead
Yeah.
as the genre that we're in, because that's the type of people that we're looking for.
yeah. I mean, seriously, I actually haven't looked at that, but I imagine it's super successful.
Oh,
And
I
it's like-
bet. It's very
There you go.
kiddie, right? But
Yeah.
for their target audience, I mean, a lot of them are kids, just straight up. But even the adults that grew up with Hello Kitty that want to play it, a lot of them just want a game that they can be super casual with and don't have to turn their brain on at all. So it's perfect for them.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I kind of want to play it. Yeah, it is a weird thing for practically an entire industry, or at least the AAA side of it, to be like, we're going to make games for an audience that we wish exists,
Yeah.
but doesn't. And when the target audience for the genre we're actually making doesn't like it because we didn't make it for them intentionally, we're going to get mad about it.
Yeah. So I'm going to go blow $100 million to make a game where the target audience is the 5 people in the writer's room.
Yeah. It's so strange. I mean, I guess, the Oblivion remake benefits from the fact that they did decide to essentially make the content exactly the same, even with the same engine.
They made it easier by a lot. Buck's been telling me about it because he's been playing the game. Mostly, they accelerated leveling, but they gave you more options with it, so you can actually kind of really dump points where you want them to go throughout the game. But like leveling is way faster than it used to be.
Yeah, I guess you could call that what do you call it? Quality of life improvement.
Possibly.
It's fun.
It kind of
funny,
borders on it.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, somebody in Asmongold's chat said, why don't they have a toggle where they could say, sexy characters or not sexy characters? And the person in the audience said that nobody would have anything to complain about. But that's the thing. They have to impose their will on everyone. It's like, it's not good enough that we like it this way. Everybody must be exactly like us. Pretty strange. Pretty weird people. I guess
Though
it's
if you're on
just lucky
PC,
that
they do have that option. They're called mods.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like you're going to do all this, and then people are just going to mod it to be, probably just like the original, even more than, even sexier than the. Well, maybe there's more that.
I think
sexier than the
Skyrim
original.
particularly. I used to have a lot of friends like, "Oh, you should play Skyrim." They go, everything you could do with the mods. It's like, yeah, but I don't like the base game. It's like, that doesn't matter. Like all the things you could do with the mods, and it's like it makes it a great game. It's like just because something, except for Gary's mod, which literally is just a modding engine, right? If a game requires mods to be good, then the game isn't good. The modders are,
Well, and the problem with that is also some places like Nexus Mods will ban you if you
What's
make
that
a
new
mod
one?
that
I think it's
improves
called
something.
Ayaka mods.
Ayaka.
Have you seen Ayaka mod? I think it's called Ayaka mods. I think I have it. Yeah. It's ayakamods.cc, which is a kind of just like a very open modding site in general. They've got some stuff on there that isn't necessarily sexy, but because it is like the open replacement mod platform, most of what you're going to find are all the sexy mods because people can't put them anywhere else. Or you'll find things that like you would just get rejected from Nexus mods. One of the top ones I saw when I opened the page was Sonic with a MAGA hat. But like here, I also see somebody modded Mualani from Genshin Impact to look like a Na'vi from Avatar, right? Like, so you'll find like the actual full array of mods here, and it's just like a newer alternative that you can go to.
Yeah. Well, there is this also a site called Deg Mods, DEG mods. That's what I've seen. Although their site lists mods, but I don't know if it has. Oh, it does. It does have download links. That's cool. But yeah, DEG mods currently in alpha, has a funding campaign. It has like mods that are obviously banned from places.
Yeah.
One that turns a character in Cyberpunk from black to white. One that replaces the gender selection in Elden Ring to say male and female. Several.
Yeah, but you can get that one on, or not Elden Ring. You get the Oblivion one, on, was it Nexus now? Because of the Chinese backlash, we covered that.
The Oblivion one that
changing the body
character
types back
sexy?
to male to female.
Oh, right. Yeah. There's one.
But yeah,
that's-
Ayaka I think is fully functional though. It's not. It doesn't need like a Kickstarter or anything. Not that I care. When you ask me, like, when's the last time I modded anything into a game?
Well, I only typically do mods that actually add content or
Same. Like
quality
if
of
somebody
life
comes up with a
changes.
whole campaign or maybe just a fun side dungeon or level or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, unless it's pretty subtle, I'm not going to even buy a game that has woke elements. So I wouldn't even buy it to mod it. Why would I buy a game with something that's so obtrusive and immersion breaking just because I'm going to mod it? I don't.
Well, it's some people are so weird too. Like this mentality just was always rotten to me, but it's just how some people are. They care about graphics and visuals so much that they'll be like, this blank game is unplayable without mods, right? And the example I'll pick is, I don't know, Minecraft, right? And they'll be like, Minecraft is unplayable without mods. And then when you go and you look at their mods, all they are like enhanced ray tracing mods that retexturize the entire world. And it's like, okay, but what did it do to Minecraft? It's like, oh, no. Aside from the visuals, it's still like base Minecraft. It's like, what do you mean it's unplayable without mods? You're still playing the base game. You're just looking at something different. But that's just how some people are,
Almost equally strange.
Yeah.
Actually, oh, look at this. There are already mods for Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered. Interface tweaks.
You know what? In any game, what the number one mod usually is? Up until the crazy stuff that's been happening recently, but historically, what the number one mod has been? Better water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's always like, for the last 20 years, the best mod is, or the number one highest rated that you get, that everybody downloads, is better water for X game.
I'll tell you, the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters have amazing looking water. I think for simple, top down RPGs. Funny, I don't see any, at least not here, Oblivion mods that bring back boobs and stuff like that. Interestingly.
Well, it is what it is. Honestly, though, to bring back boobs, the breasts in Elder Scrolls games have never really been impressive anyway. Because it's never been a big point to the game. Maybe they'd show them off, but they're just average all the time.
That's why I say, why change it?
Yeah. Why change it at all? In either direction. It's like they were fine the way they were.
Yeah. Well, I don't. I actually, I don't I like playing PC games and stuff, and certain games on the PC, especially like Stardew Valley. But I kind of like playing games on console, so it's like it's
Yeah.
harder to mod them in that case. Ooh, there's a mod for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that gives Tifa jiggle physics.
Oh.
You don't say.
Yeah, if I
Well,
did play
anyway.
the remake series, I wouldn't be modding it. But at the same time, you know, good luck getting me to play the Final Fantasy VII remake series to begin with.
I understand.
Yeah,
And that's more about gameplay than anything else, right?
it is.
Or
Well, and
story.
also artistic
Gameplay is
integrity.
story.
There's a part of that in
Yeah.
there too. But I do have we got two things related to that if we want to steer into maybe a less depressing subject. One, Nintendo has confirmed, or I guess Square has confirmed along with Nintendo, that the entirety of the Final Fantasy VII Remake series will be available on the Switch too.
Ooh, sweet.
I think what's out now will be available at launch if you just want to buy it digitally. But that also implies that Reunion, which is going to be the third part, will also be on the Switch too. That's in Square's best interest anyway, so you kind of figured that was going to be the case. But also, not to get anybody's hopes up, okay? Hold your breath. Hold your breath. Yuji Horii has said that he started to contemplate a Chrono Trigger remake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is he going to have enough control over it?
I have no clue. I would assume so. He basically had somewhat full control the first time, but things have changed a lot. He has full control over Dragon Quest still, more or less, aside from like, well, even though he has control, he's being berated by people and he caved, so even if he has full control, who's to say that Hori's not going to cave again, right?
Yeah. It'd be interesting.
The better question is, if they do a remake, are they going to call Uematsu to come in and remaster the soundtrack, or are they just going to have somebody else remaster his old music? That would be the real question. Obviously, Toriyama can't redesign the characters to update them or anything like that. Not that you need to. The classic designs are great. But a Chrono Trigger remaster or remake, which it does say remake, so I'm assuming
Sorry.
It means something along the lines of modernizing the game to some degree, if they're using the word remake.
Yeah. I would rather have a remaster, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it'd be pretty cool if it was like, full 3D to the level of, the Final Fantasy VII remakes, but
If it looked
with-
more
with,
like Dragon Quest XI in visuals.
yeah. And zero changes to story or dialogue, but just,
I don't even want changes to mechanics, right? Because
I was going to say,
yeah,
3D version of the mechanics.
yeah, because movement was already kind of involved. That it was you picked what the characters can do, but they would dash across the screen, and where they were mattered, like formation mattered in Chrono Trigger, because of
I
your
remember.
what's it called, your joint attacks.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool. If they could do a remake that essentially kept all of that intact and didn't change the dialogue and, kept the boobs and all that kind of stuff. Great. But that would be a nice surprise, I guess.
Yeah,
If they did do
But, you know, again, hold your breath because it's Yuji Horii. It's not the first time he's talked about a possibility of a Chrono Trigger remake happening. This is the first time he said he's contemplated it, though, which I think implies that he's been thinking about the systems and how the game would actually work if he were to go about it. But he still has so many other things to get off his plate, right? Like 12 still needs to come out. There's possible other Dragon Quest remakes that need to come out too, even though they just did the 3, 1, and 2 remakes. Like there's a lot of things on his plate that I don't know if he'll actually get to this. He might retire or pass away before he gets to this.
Yeah, maybe. I would also be happy with a remaster that was just like maybe in the style of like the Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, but also keeping intact that unique gameplay where the positioning matters and that kind of stuff.
Did you play I Am Setsuna?
Yeah, I've got it on my Switch.
Because I think a lot of people are like, that's the closest thing you're going to get to an actual follow-up to the Chrono series.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's like, yep, that's it. That's all we're getting.
Yeah, well, I mean, fine. I'd be fine with nothing. I'd be fine with keeping what we've got.
Just staying it the way that it is.
Yeah, the game is perfect exactly the way it is.
You can already play it upscaled to HD. It exists on Steam. You could just buy it, right? I think in some other shops too. You can just buy Chrono Trigger as it is in the original pixel format, just upscaled to work on an HD screen.
Yep.
So here's something that affects me directly, so I'm going to talk about it. But maybe affects other people that might listen to this in the future, or other people that I just happen to know. But due to a FTC hearing, specifically involving Genshin Impact, which reached a $20 million settlement that Hoyoverse has to pay, they will now be required by U.S. law to verify the age of U.S.-based players. How they're going to verify the age, I don't know. Maybe just asking you what your age might be enough. I'm not really sure. Maybe it will tell me later in this piece, but I don't think so. But they will be forced to verify the age, and it's not 18 plus though.
Okay.
Oddly enough, because you think it being in the U.S. that the line that they would choose would be 18. For some reason, it's 16. Any person under the age of 16 will now require parental consent to be able to play a Hoyoverse game or any of these gacha games. Like, you're going to start seeing a bunch of their competitors and other companies roll this into their games as well, where you're going to have to verify to be able to even use the gacha system, which means that you're going to have to verify to even play the game. Since it's tightly entwined, you're going to see Zenless Zone Zero is going to have that. Star Rail's going to have that. And it's going through
like
July, I think. No, May 20th is when the age verification process will start.
So I guess you'll have to go through that, right?
Yeah.
There's online. There are websites that have that use these third-party ID systems. Mostly like if you go like on the IRS website to pay your taxes and that sort of thing. actually just had to do that thing where they have to put your face in the oval and move it left and right and then compare it to your driver's license. But how are they going to do that on a console?
I have no clue.
Plus, who, gamers.
Because technically, the terms of service already, like, if you read it, you're not allowed to even play this game if you're under the age of 13, really. Like, I know they're rated, I think, 12 up, technically, but when you read the terms of service, it's like if you are under the age of 13, you need to have your parents' permission to play and stuff like that. But nobody actually reads the terms of service. I guess maybe they actually have to put in a check now where you have to put your birthday in. Similar like how Steam forces you to put your birthday in to watch trailers for certain games. The bare minimum they could do.
Is that what they do to check for 13 now? I guess.
Oh, they don't check, though. That's the problem. Like, it's in the terms of service, but they don't actually check. And that might be one of the problems that they're having here, that they're being forced to do.
I see. Yeah, I'm wondering, there's all this talk of facial recognition and it somehow being able to tell, like, how old you are or something. But, yeah, I doubt that'll work. And
I mean, to a degree, I agree with them that if you are too young to be paying taxes in general outside of your sales tax for anything, you probably shouldn't be able to spend money on a game that's essentially gambling, Yeah. But ratings should be enough. Like, I don't know, if something has that type of system, just automatically mark it an M for mature, or like so adults can play it. Just so that should be enough of a dissuasion so parents see it and they have to make a decision at that point.
How is it? It really shouldn't be the responsibility of the developer to, if they rate the game and they tell you must be this age to play this game. Okay, to me that's the end of their responsibility.
Yeah. But all these games are rated T for teen, basically. So that already implies that teens can play it. And the FTC apparently disagrees, right? They're like, hey, no, you need to age verify in some way. And I guess soon we'll find out what that age verification is.
The FTC is requiring them to actually verify.
Yes, that is part of the settlement.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
Which was probably going to happen anyway.
I agree with that.
Right. And at least we feel more comfortable because it was our system that did this first, right? Like it actually came from the FTC. Over in Europe, I can't remember the name of the game. It's some stupid equestrian horse game that has all of the most deceptive practices possible in it. That like gotcha, microtransactions, like everything is in it.
Yeah.
Pop-ups, ads, all that stuff. And they were being taken to the European Union's court. Their like version of the FTC. And now they're going to be putting in like age verification and stuff for basically every game like that all across Europe due to that one case. And you know how these companies are, right? If they have different versions, like different launchers, then they will allow it to only be in one area. But typically, especially if they're like a Chinese company or something, the only other launcher they have is for China alone, and then they have like a global version of the game for everyone else. If it's in the global version, they're not going to fine-tune it as like, oh, just the Europeans have to do it. They just roll it off into the game in general. So if it was already going to happen in Europe, it was going to happen here anyway.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I mean, obviously not going to affect either of us. We're old enough to play.
I think so.
I think we're too old to play Expedition 33, but...
No. I'm actually exactly the right age for the Expedition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I am 33. I would be on that Expedition right now.
Yeah. Well, I hope next year they come out with an Expedition 34.
That's not how it works.
I know.
It ticks
It
down.
would be a prequel. It would be a
Oh, I
prequel.
guess, yeah. But then the problem with making a prequel is you know how it ends.
Yeah, exactly. Oh well.
Yeah, with Expedition 33 though being popular, Square put up a poll, sort of, not like a voting poll, but a survey poll, asking people what their favorite turn-based combat system from a Square Enix game was. A lot of people had a bunch of different answers. Actually, I think it wasn't even turn-based. It was just, what is your favorite combat system? I responded to it with a GIF from Final Fantasy VI because I think they peaked there. And I don't know if they've done anything as good. They've done good things, right? 10's combat system's fun. Even 7, like with the limit breaks and everything, it's kind of just more of 6 to a degree, but you lost a party member. Just because I guess there would be too much on the screen going to 3D polygons or whatever. That's why I think they peaked with 6 because you still have like that standard 4 party members there. They had some cool systems. They introduced the surrounded attack and the one where you surround them too. There's all kinds of cool things going on in 6. And there's some pretty close runners up, at least for Final Fantasy. But they got a lot of different responses from people. And it really shows that the ones that got the most were 7, 8, and 9. Because everybody is just fond of the PlayStation era of Final Fantasy. With 10 also being kind of high up there.
Wait, which one won?
It was kind of close between 10 itself and basically 7, 8, 9 together. Even though those are 3 different combat systems that are just all really close. A lot of people, I think, just vaguely see the original PlayStation 3 game, like the 3 games on it, as the same system. Even though
But
the limit break system, the junction system, and the trance system are all 3 different systems.
yeah, I mean, the junction system
It's one of the
It's
worst systems they ever
completely
made.
from anything. Like what? So is it that they all got the same number of votes? Approximately?
It's that a lot of people specifically kept saying 7, 8, and 9 together.
What?
Yeah,
So
because
the worst
apparently
system-
people cannot differentiate those 3 games' combat systems.
Yeah. So, like,
And I
the
think it's
best
because when they see the
the
system,
worst
they just see the
system-
ATB, right? And they're like, that's the combat system right there.
Okay. Yeah, it's the best one, the worst one, and probably the right in the middle, most middling one.
You know,
Like, yes, I love the system that is all 3 completely different systems that run, the entire scale of franchise. Like, what?
no. Well, the 9 system's like really, really close to 6, right?
Yeah.
With the trance system, it's kind of like it's taking the idea of what 6 wanted to do with limit breaks in their game, though. Unless you were really manipulating things, it was rare that you were going to actually see a limit break go off in 6. But also taking Terra's trance and wrapping that into a singular system for everyone to use.
Yeah. And the only thing I don't know if I'll ever decide if I like it or not about Final Fantasy VI is the fact that everyone can learn every spell.
Yes, the materia system.
Yeah, which
Or not yeah.
I mean,
No, I'm thinking of Magicite, Materia 7. Magicite
Magicite.
system. Other
Yeah.
M.
no, something different. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that's my favorite system too.
Yeah.
6.
Well, I do like that
it's-
everybody can learn everything because there's still a lot of core differences between the characters, even with it. And
Yeah.
you don't necessarily want everyone to learn everything, right? Because it doesn't benefit everyone to learn all of the basic spells.
Yeah.
And your stats
I guess-
are affected by what Magicite's equipped when they level. So for a lot of characters, you just want to focus on stat building because their core kit is good enough on its own. And there's fun things too. Like it's both annoying for some people, but cool for other people that you basically have to put in fighting game inputs for Sabine to do his moves.
I hate that, man.
I know.
I hate it. I just like I can do the suplex because it's like, what is it, down up down or something?
Yeah. And you could probably do Aura Cannon because it's just Hadoken, right? It's just the quarter circle.
Yeah, that one's easy, and whatever the pummel or whatever it's called.
Oh, the Fury Rush or Phantom Rush is
Yeah.
the improved version. Yeah.
Yeah, like those three are the only ones I can do consistently.
Yeah, because like one of them, there's like an 8 input one that you have to do. That I think it really is just 4 inputs and you're repeating them twice. But still, it's just like ba 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 ba.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. I like that character because his moves are really great, powerful.
Yeah.
It's just I fail at them half the time. Oh well.
Yeah. I was going to talk about Infinity Nikki and the Girl Cot, but maybe we'll talk about that next time. We don't have enough
we'll
time
see how
left to
it
talk
goes.
about that. Yeah. Well, I don't think much is going to change between now and next week. Right. We might get maybe some news on it, but a lot of this stuff you see changes around patch cycles. So that'll be something we'll have to revisit after I kind of describe it to the audience in the first place. But I do have 2 really quick things that we can end on. They're basically the same thing. And it's about Nintendo's market valuation ahead of the Switch 2 and how much they think they're going to sell in this like launch window. So ahead of the Switch 2, which I think Nintendo probably should be valued higher, or at least maybe not higher than this now, but they should have been valued this before. And because of the fact that Nintendo doesn't have to disclose everything, and you also value them without the Pokemon company in mind, the way people value Nintendo is kind of skewed. But right now, its market value has passed 100 billion USD ahead of the Switch 2's launch. Yeah. Well, with like previous market caps being closer to like 76 billion.
Wow. So their stock must have gone way up.
Oh, yeah. They've hit an all-time, it was February 19th, so not that long ago, at 107 billion. Yeah. And so they tell us how much they expect to sell in its first year. And this is a crazy number for first-year sales. But if anyone can hit it, it's Nintendo. They are forecasting where their full first financial year, which will end on March 31st of next year, that they will sell 15 million Switch 2 consoles, which is more than the Switch sold. I think it was like 10 million in their first year. And 45 million games for the console will be moved.
Well, I mean, they better. I don't know. I'm just not impressed with the launch.
I'm not either.
lineup.
Well, the thing is, it's not that I'm not impressed. I think it is a really stellar launch, all things considered. I know there's not stuff that you particularly are interested in, but for general Nintendo fans, especially running off of Mario Kart as their like launch title, given that another story that I have pulled up right now is that in this past year, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still sold another 6 million copies. Right?
Oh boy.
That I think their lineup for launch is great. Stellar.
Yeah, I guess so.
If the prices of games didn't go up. Right? In a recession. I think if this was a better time, for everyone, this would not be hard for them to move at all, given the way things are going. Taking all the other circumstances, it's going to be a feat for them to move that 45 million games.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to check out the holiday season. That's where they're really going to make or break it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the way, I've heard this a few times lately. Who says we're in a recession?
We've been in a recession. I mean, we might be coming out of it, but we were in one, and a lot of people haven't fully recovered.
Like a few years ago, or
for a while.
Not for the last 5 quarters. I mean, I don't know. I'm just looking at GDP growth rate. But,
yes, but GDP is a good way of looking at how the country's doing as a whole. Not necessarily good at how families are doing.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, yeah,
People, it's tough times. It's just the
Yeah.
definition of a recession is 2 quarters of negative GDP growth.
That is true. Yeah.
We haven't had that in quite a while. Anyway, I agree, though.
Yeah.
It's tough time. It's with the inflation of everything else. It's like, I mean, I don't have any extra income. I actually have. I found out today that I have a windfall of $75 coming next week.
Oh yeah.
Basically, yeah. I was informed of a certain birthday present that's coming, and I'm super excited because now I can afford to buy Fantasy Life because I'm gonna have $75 extra. Yeah. And I mean, I honestly doubt I'm gonna. I would love to have a Switch 2 on launch day. Well, it probably won't be any available, but I don't think I'm going to. I don't think I can afford it.
Man, I don't know. I've been thinking about it too. Even if I could afford it, I don't know if I'd want it on launch.
Yeah.
Just because the history of getting consoles on launch, like, you could be the lucky one, or lucky people. My mom was lucky; her launch Switch was fine. But there's just been so many problems historically with every company about systems on launch that sometimes it's better just to wait like 6 months.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I didn't get a PS5 until a couple years after it launched, and
a couple of years in, the library is better too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't think there's any launch titles I'm super interested in, like that I can't get on the Switch 1.
Yeah.
Like, I want Fantasy Life. Okay, that's on the Switch 1. I can't.
A couple of years in, you know, there's probably going to be a main Mario game that you could play, right?
Yeah. Whenever the first, well, I guess my only question is that Rune Factor, the new Rune Factory game, is that going to come out for Switch 1?
I don't know.
But yeah, I'd say definitely the first main Mario game or Zelda game.
Or by this time next year,
Get it then.
Metroid Prime 4 should probably be out too. So.
Oh yeah. I'm assuming that's going to be exclusive. So yeah.
Of course,
I would
they were holding off on announcing that until the Switch 2, probably for precisely that reason.
Yeah, I'd buy it for that. But honestly, I'm probably not going to get one for a while.
And that was the thing too. They were showing off games for a whole year, right? The launch year. So some of that stuff's not coming until about this almost this time next year. Obviously, it's going to be before March. But like, I don't know, when is Metroid coming? Is that going to be holiday season? Is that going to be January next year? Who knows, right? But if you wait until next year, it's going to already be out.
Yeah, it could be fall or winter of 2026 for all I know.
But yeah, anyway, I think that's a good note to wrap up on. Thank you all for watching, whether you're here now or watching the VOD in the future. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please share it out with somebody else. Grow the audience, get more people in here. And if you liked it enough, you want to go one step beyond, you can always give a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitorium live. Really helps us out. And we'll see you I would say no later than Monday, but I don't know. Maybe Saturday I'll do at the very least another Wonderland stream, and maybe I'll do something else in between now and then too. So we'll see you guys then.
Bye.